All right. Welcome, everybody. Welcome, welcome. Let's get everybody in the house. Let's get everybody in the house. All right. Just waiting for everybody to get in. Okay, we'll just wait for everybody to get in. Hope everybody's doing well this Sunday. This is season 2 beginning. Well, you know what? I just called it season 2 because there's so many changes that's been going on that I'm just calling it season 2. But yeah, I'm just waiting for everybody to get in. I'm waiting for everybody to get in. This thing should be live here. Why is this not performing the way that it should? Hi, how's everybody? Let's get everything. Oh no, what? That's ridiculous. All right. Get this started over. Had this thing in the setup. Right. Get this. All right, there we go. All right, so my Instagram isn't working as usual. To retrieve the destination, okay. That is my normal scenario. So that is not working. Excellent. To be expected. To be expected. Anyway, guys, how is everybody doing today? I'm trying to get. There's always like some kind of issue with my RMTP stream. If anybody knows what an RMTP is, that's where you stream to multiple locations at the same time. And there's always some kind of issue with it. And it's always to do with Instagram. Always to do with Instagram. You know? So it's one of those things that I feel I should just give up on because it never seems to work correctly. How is the Substack community doing? How is everybody on a Substack? How is everyone doing on a Substack? Mine, oh man. Yeah, guys, it's a packed show today. There's so many things to talk about. As usual, like I said, I just wait a little bit just to let people get in. But there is so much to talk about. G, how are you? And this person, like I see these hieroglyphics. I never know how to pronounce your name, whoever this is, with the hieroglyphics. I see hieroglyphics and like I mean, is this a woman, a man? Like, you know, I see you in the lives a lot, but I don't know who it is. I don't know who it is. You know? All right. All right. Welcome everybody. Please, when you come into the live, let me allow you guys to introduce yourselves. When you come into the live, introduce yourselves in the chat, please. I see there's a lot of Facebook people and there's a lot of YouTube people. Introduce yourselves in the chat. we're going to be talking about a lot of big topics. Like I said, we're going through the Sahel alliance, Mali, Burkina Faso, and Niger withdrawing from the ICC, International Criminal Court. We're also going to be talking about Sarkozy, the former French president, being sentenced to prison, 5 years in jail, 5 years in prison because of his dealings with Gaddafi. We're also going to be talking about Joseph Kabila, the former president of Congo, who has been sentenced to death. And I kid you not, I know it sounds crazy, but that's the facts. We're also going to be talking about Nigeria's Independence Month. I mean, its Independence Day was 1st of January. 1st of October. But we're going to be talking about the month and, talking about reflections on the month for Nigeria. And of course, we'll be talking about The Crusaders, my graphic novel that has been released, the episode 2 of my graphic novel that has been released. We're going to be talking about that as well. So it's a very, very packed show. Substackers, if you're there, please make yourselves known. Like I said, I'm broadcasting to multiple destinations at the same time. I'll be bringing in one of my guests in a moment. Let me see now. Invite guests. Let me see now. All right. All right. So I mean, that is what the subject is going to be for the show. That is what the topics are going to be for the show. Like I said, guys, everybody, as you come in, please make yourselves known to the community by typing in the chat who you are, where you're hailing from. Make yourselves known. Okay? Let me see. All right. All right. All right. All right. All right. All right. So, guys, like I said, I always give it a 10-minute start at the top of the show before we get going. But this is actually a good opportunity, like I keep saying, for everybody to make themselves known. What I'm going to do as well, I'm going to go. Let me just tell people on my Instagram what's going on. All right, let me tell people on Instagram what is going on. All right, reel. Let's do an Instagram reel real quick. Hey guys. Oh, here we go. Oops. Let's undo that. Hey guys, we are going live right now on Substack and YouTube. The Instagram feed did not work. If you want to join us, we're going to be talking about the Sahel Alliance withdrawing from the ICC, Mali, Burkina Faso, and Niger. We're talking about Joseph Kabila, the former president of Congo, having a death sentence. Former president, French President Sarkozy of France being sentenced to prison for 5 years. We're going to be talking about that due to his dealings with Gaddafi. We're going to be talking about Nigeria's Independence Month. And of course, the release of The Crusaders, episode 2, my graphic novel. We're doing all of that. So go to the link in my profile bio and you will see the link for this live show. We are live right now. You go to the link in my profile bio. It takes you directly to my Substack. Subscribe there if you want to join in the show. All right, let's get that through. Hey guys. All right. All right. Go to link in. Right. There we go. All right, guys. Walter F, how are you? How are you, Walter F? How are you doing? Let me bring this person in here. Replace guest. right. Why do I not see you, Chosen? I'm trying to get you in here. Let's see why I don't see you in here. That's interesting. Hold on, guys. Let me try and get Chosen in here. Yeah, while we do that, let me see now. Why is that not showing? Let's see, place guests. Place. All right, that is very, very strange. Let's see if this works. That is very strange indeed. Give me a second, guys. I'm just trying to figure out why a particular screen is not cooperating with me. Let's see. Let's try that. Okay. So we're going to do something else. That does not seem to be functioning as it should. Does not seem to be functioning as it should. Chosen, give me a second. I'm trying. Uh-oh, where did you go? Let's see. It's like it's not actually. Let's see. All right, there we go. All right. There we go. Now it's on. Now it is on. Now we're in business. All right. Welcome. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Trying to survive, you know. It's a rough world out there. Crazy things going down, you know. That was actually some tech. What did you do? How come it wasn't working before? What was going on?
Why it wasn't working on your end, I don't know.
Yeah, I couldn't. It wasn't function. I couldn't actually see your feed for some reason. Anyway, how have you been? How's your week?
Long, but got a lot done, so
Okay, that's good. All right, so
not as much as you, but
listen. I mean, you know, look, it's been insanely hectic. There have been so many, like I said, just getting the graphic novel out and so forth. The amount of glitches that I had and issues that I had were astronomical. You know, I mean, but we crossed over the finish line, thankfully. You
nice.
know, so that was very, very good for us to be able to do that. But how about yourself? Any major goals, major wins?
Major wins. Yeah, but none that I want to say right now. I don't want to jinx it.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Okay, so you got so some things actually went well for you.
this week, yes. We'll see what happens.
Okay, okay, all right. Well, that's fantastic. All right, so you know, I wanted to talk about a couple of things. So I was going to start with hi, Sadiq Alexander. How are you? Sadiq Alexander. Hi, hello, Sheldon Bolson or Boisson and Walter F. Okay, how are you doing? Omo Tehinse. What's up, Oluwashen? Okay, welcome. All right, all right. So, like I said, the first topic that we're going to talk about is actually about the Sahel Alliance and the fact that they've exited the ICC. So, are you aware of what the ICC is? Do you know what that is?
No.
So, the ICC is the International Criminal Court. So, there's two different courts. There's the ICJ, the International Courts of Justice, and the ICC. So, the key difference between them is that the ICC is a court that is designed specifically for individuals. Okay, so it is
Okay.
just an individual. So it's for prosecuting individuals for war crimes, and the ICJ is for prosecuting countries. Okay, so that is the key difference between them.
Okay.
And this is the thing about it. So In the entire history of the ICC, right? Only there have been no Western leaders prosecuted. And I think there's something like 90 something percent of those prosecuted have been Africans. Now, when I saw that statistic, I actually laughed because I said, okay, this is actually obviously a comedy, because if that is your stat, how do you then argue that you're fair and, you know, like, you know what I'm saying? You're not even prosecuting South Americans. You're not prosecuting Asians. This court is prosecuting Africans. Now, on top of this, get this little detail. On top of this, the ICC doesn't include America. They refuse to join it. UK refused to join it. I don't think France is in it. Do you know how crazy that is?
So you have to join a country in order to prosecute?
No.
I don't understand.
So ICC is voluntary membership.
Right.
You don't have to be in the ICC.
Okay.
The idea is that you join it so that if anybody messes around, there is a court that is objective that is going to arbitrate and prosecute that individual. So for smaller countries who are weaker economically and militarily, it's beneficial. That's how it was sold to Africa. It's beneficial because if you join this, it means that you will be on the same level playing field as bigger countries when it comes to crimes against humanity and manipulation and whatever, right?
Right.
So when they then join, they then realize that the main countries who are culprits of this sort of behavior, England aren't in it, UK, USA aren't in it, France aren't in it, Russia obviously isn't in it, China isn't it. Like all of these countries that you would need to, I would have to go and look at the list to find out exactly what countries are not in it. But the whole point is that most countries you'd want to be in this thing, number one should be in America, are not in it. On top of that, okay, those who've been prosecuted have been predominantly Africans. So what are we talking about here? So I think the reason why I say this is that when you then look at these three countries leaving, the question you ask is that why are any countries still in it? Why are any countries still in it? From Africa, I'm talking specifically. You see? So when you look at something like that and you see these countries leaving, and then the arguments that people try and bring, and this is why I laugh at some of these arguments. The argument they bring is that, or this is the rhetoric that the press is trying to push. It's very worrying because these juntas, these coup leaders are leaving, and people are saying, allegedly, that they're leaving because they don't want to be prosecuted for crimes, for war crimes. So the question you ask yourself is that, wait a second, shouldn't we be focused on the countries that never joined, as opposed to the countries that are leaving because of the countries that never joined? And it's the countries that never joined that are pointing the finger at the countries leaving, telling them that they're leaving so they won't be prosecuted. How does America have a say in any of this?
I mean, I would think that if you never joined, you should not speak on.
That's what you would think. Let me even actually see. I want to see. Let me get a list of exactly. I'm going to pull this up now. I want to see what countries specifically are not in this thing. Hold on. What countries not in the ICC? Let's see what we get out here. Okay, here we go. United States, Russia, China, India, Israel, Turkey, Pakistan. Oh, whoops! What am I? What is this? Sorry. Oh yeah. That's what I'm looking at the right thing. Okay. So those are the countries that are not in it. Let me see. I think the UK actually is in it. Okay. Okay, so now of all those, I want to actually get the actual prosecuted. How many have been from the West? How many? All right, here we go. Let's get this detail. Okay. What is it? Just give me just give me the raw data. What? Look at. Do you know what? Let me tell you something. You know what's funny? AI, I believe, is biased on a real. You'll ask AI something where you know the answer is very bad, and the AI will try and give you an answer to not make it not look as bad as what it really is. And then you ask the AI that's not what I asked you. I said, tell me what the African, well, you know, and then when you look at it from this perspective, and then the data shows, and I'm like, listen, I didn't ask you that. That's not what I asked you. I said, tell me what these percentages. I'm going to try again. I said, give me the numbers, no extra info. I want to know the executed versus anyone else. Okay, there we go. I don't want to hear all of that. Because this is an important detail. Hold on. All right, so here we go. Shows it. Okay. Wait, hold on. This is crazy. All right. Listen to this. You want to hear this crazy stat? Out from the time the ICC was created, 54 people have been indicted by the ICC. 47 are African, 7 are non-African. Of the non-Africans, one is Vladimir Putin of Russia, Israel's Benjamin Netanyahu, Philippines' Rodrigo Duterte, and Myanmar's Min Aung Hlaing. Did you hear what I just told you?
Yes.
47 out of 54. This is the levels of corruption in this world is mad. And you know what's funny? It's because of our ignorance. If the people knew this stuff, we would have been protesting to leave. But we're so ignorant that we just hear, oh, this person got indicted by the ICC. Oh, he must be really bad. You know, what did he do? Oh, this person, oh, these Africans are so corrupt. It's always Africans. It's always Africans. Tony Blair never got indicted. George W. never got indicted. Do you know the blood on those people's hands? The amount of people that have died as a result of Obama's policies, Bush's policies, all of these things. The fact that these guys have not been indicted, but we're looking at 47 indictments for Africa is pretty unbelievable.
So what do you think the reasoning is behind that? Because I know what the argument is in regards to George Bush and different administrations. It's like you can't, in my view anyway, if we're talking about fairness,
okay,
you cannot prosecute George W. Bush without prosecuting 200 other people.
Of course, you have to. But that's not typically how it goes because they usually go for the figurehead. But you're right, of course. Cheney should have been all of these guys should have been prosecuted. Condoleezza Rice, Rumsfeld, all of these guys.
And Congress is the one that declared war. So look, I just, I think a lot of times, and this is just, again, somewhat of a conspiracy theory maybe, but it's almost as if, all of this is like pre-planned to the point where it's like, even if you wanted to go after someone, you can't, and they know that. You know what I mean? Where it's like, yes, this was Bush's war, the Iraq war. But he's never going to answer for it.
Of course not. I tell you this, the the main thing when it comes to these issues is really about ignorance. It's about the fact that when you do something that is so flagrantly unfair in front of people, the only way that you can get away with something like this is by simply just not caring. It's like, I know that nothing is going to happen to me. I know that nobody has the power to do anything. So because I look at something like this and I say, listen, once you present people with those statistics, anybody who has a problem with these three countries leaving, you present them those statistics, there's only two ways you can react. One way is to be like, this thing is obviously ridiculously corrupt. And the other way is that, Africans are so bad that this shows how bad Africans are. Those are the only two ways you react to it. And we know that the whole point of the press and the propaganda is to sell the second option. That this is just how corrupt African leaders are. That's why there's 47 of them out of 54 are getting prosecuted. And then when you look at the others, they're Asian, and then there's Vladimir. You just look at that list. It's almost like a list of propaganda. The list is just a propaganda list. It's like, these are all the just messed out. Everybody we don't like is who we're prosecuting, and then Africans, obviously. I mean, listen, man, it's very annoying because you're dealing with a lot of problems internally in your continent and so forth. And then you see this and you're saying that, oh, wow, the guys are actually actively trying to undermine you. Actively. Like guys are running propaganda, they're running destabilization. They've got organizations where they fought. And I'm like, what is this? Why are you even in this thing? Like, I'm actually now questioning, forget about the three countries that left, Mali, Burkina Faso, and Niger. I'm thinking about, why are any African nations in this?
Do they get any benefits from being in? Like, what are the positives?
There are no positives.
Well, if there are no positives, they wouldn't have joined.
Oh, I mean, listen, you know what? I'm sure people's palms are getting greased. I'm sure people's palms are getting greased, because I don't know why anybody would join this knowing what we just discussed. See, I'm looking at it, I'm looking at, yeah, that's, yeah. Yeah, I mean, look, do you know what? Do you know the only benefit to this thing, as what I'm looking at here, is this is it. For African countries, the only benefit is to use it as a weapon against your enemies politically. So if you want to win an election and you want to take somebody else out of the picture, you can go with whoever your allies are in the ICC and say, listen, prosecute that guy and take him out of the picture. That's the only thing I can see, because I'm looking at it and everything is based on justice and seeking fairness, but we know it's not fair. So therefore, all the positives that you're selling it on, we know that's not the case, because there's no way something can be fair and not a single Western president has been prosecuted. Not one. Not a single guy. Like, in 54 cases? Now, at the end of the day, look, when I look at something like this, I say to myself that the move that these guys have made is a big deal. It's a really, really big deal to do something like this. It's really sending a message to the rest of the continent that, and I think it's not even to the leaders of the rest of the continent, it's to the people. We don't have to accept this. By the way, guys, Chosen,
yeah,
Mansa Musa, solid gold. Solid gold, Mansa Musa. To the point that this thing, the gold is so solid that when I drink tea from it, the tea tastes like gold. It doesn't taste the same. Like, I drink the tea and I'm like, man, it's got an extra kick to it. Mansa Musa Mog. Available now. Now, listen. I also realized something, Chosen, by the way, that maybe it's my fault, because I was thinking that, you know what, I want to do a more serial. I want to be, when I do these shows, the kind of professional style and all this sort of things, do your podcast. And I'm just realizing I can't do that. I need to talk freely. That's the reason why the shows, I always tell people that, listen, if I were you, don't join my show till about 30 minutes in. If I were you, I advise people, I say, listen, forget about the first 30 minutes. Because I'm very unprofessional. Because I keep it real on the show. So I said, listen, if I were you, come 30, 40 minutes in, because that's when things start kicking off. Because my brain, sorry, what?
I think people crave the realness, though. So I don't know. I don't know about that. I don't know if I agree with that, but
no, it's possible. But no, I guess the reason why I'm saying it is that the show's real. That show we did before, I had to take it off the internet.
Good.
I had to take that show off the internet because I started watching it. I said, nah, I can't leave this up. I can't leave it up. Because what these folks are doing, I don't know why a lot more people aren't talking about it.
So what?
What these guys are doing, I can't figure out why more people aren't talking about it.
Yeah.
Because they've basically said that we don't give a damn what your court says. We're taking care of our stuff. Because when they left, they didn't only leave, they said that they're going to set up their own court. And that court could be prosecuting Western presidents. Not that they'll be able to exercise the justice, but symbolically they'll be able to call, to indict people. I just looked at that list and I said, do you know how crazy it is that you've got 47 presidents and Vladimir? How are you then surprised that people are his friend in Africa? Like, how are you surprised about that? Because they look at him and say, well, they treat him how they treat us. So from our point of view, it's like, if we're going to pick somebody to be allied with, but we're allied with a guy that is getting treated the same as we're getting treated. Because I looked at that list and I'm like, Netanyahu only just got on the list. So it wasn't like he'd been there. Vladimir has been there for 5-6 years now, And I'm just like, man, you know what? Come on, guys. At the end of the day, how does somebody be indicted by the International Criminal Court, yet America is still allied with them? Does that even make sense? And then at the same time, America is trying to criticize Africans. Netanyahu is on the list. So therefore, he should be a persona non grata to America and England, right? Why is the UK working with somebody that the International Criminal Court has indicted? No, but it's amazing. Okay, America, you're not in the ICC. UK, you are in the ICC. How are you going to be? UK are literally redoubling down on their allyship with this guy, who's a wanted man. And then they're going to turn around and then look at us? Come on, guys. Listen, which is why I said that don't put me in politics. Because if you put me in politics, I'll just look at that guy, Keir Starmer, I say, you're a clown. You're going to come and ask me, you're going to come and talk to me about what? That's how I'd respond. Just like that. It wouldn't be like, well, under the circumstances, I feel like, it's very hypocritical. I was like, listen, man, you're a clown. You're talking rubbish. And I talk exactly like that. And I think if more people talked that way, which is...
Trump is proof of that.
I was about to say that. There's a particular man
100.
who chosen, I'm going to tell you again because you seem to have forgotten. During a debate, a man called Donny T, when a person was talking stuff he didn't like, this is what he did. Look at me. Look. I fell off my chair. I actually fell off I couldn't believe what I saw. He went like... I was like, that's like one of the realest things I've ever seen on a debate. I was like, what? That is downright disrespectful. What?
That's what people want.
That's what I'm saying. But you see, now that being said, the reality is that it shows that your laws mean nothing. So if your laws mean nothing, why should they mean anything to us? They don't mean anything to you. So why should they mean anything to us? I mean, that's just the truth. I think look, it gets scary when you start breaking a lot of this stuff down, because you start understanding that tactically, it's almost like you're the victim of something, and the people who are leading you are doing everything in their power to keep you in that position. So when you see guys do what these guys did, it's such a stark act. Like, just like, oh my God, because people's brains have been conditioned that Africans don't get to just do what they want. You don't get to do. Do you know how weird it is as a sovereign country? Let me tell you this, Chosen. As a sovereign country, another country is telling you what to do. Isn't that crazy? Like you're in Africa, and another country is telling you what money you can use. Hey, Lala. That is wildness. And the money isn't good. You're struggling, but it says you must use that money. If that is not bamboozlement, I don't know what is. And people are busy arguing about, well, you know, the financial markets. Financial markets? When you take a step back and you really look at this for what it is, it's insane. It's like, I'm sitting in my country, in my house, and a man in another house who has everything is telling me what I can and can't do. And I'm not a criminal. We keep it real on the show. It might have to go behind closed doors.
What enables them to be able to tell someone else what they can and can't do? I think that's an important part of it. You know what I mean? It's not just them saying you will do X and they go do it. It's if, correct me if I'm wrong, is if they refuse to do X, the consequences of that is what makes them do. Okay.
Yes.
So
yes.
I just think that's an honorable mention. That's all, you know.
Yes. I mean, it's a worrying thing for many reasons, because you then question how they got themselves into that position. I'm a lady first says, because most African leaders are indoctrinated to believe anything white is better and superior, hence why they never indict and imprison Western and European nations, pillaging with ease through ICC. Well, I think it's actually even more, that is very true. That's very true. But I actually think it's actually more of a hoodwink than that. I think that the ICC was created to control Africans. Like, I think they actually created it for the purpose of, let's make something where we can just take out people if they are misbehave. Because the ICC is like a weapon. It's like, we don't like that leader, indict him, get him arrested, get him out of power. It's easier, because if you don't have the ICC, getting a president out of power, you have to start getting your hands dirty and assassinating people and doing things like that. When you have this thing there, you can actually be like, he's guilty. We've got you've got a whole different conversation going on. That's what I think. I think that is what's really the case. That it was set up for the purpose of actually executing this sort of behavior. Anyway, let's go on to the next topic. Nicolas Sarkozy, ex-president of France, has been sentenced to 5 years in prison for taking money from Gaddafi, the former Libyan president. 5 years in prison is unprecedented. We've never seen anything like that before. A former president is going to jail. What do you have to say about that?
Without knowing the details, I would assume that a conviction was probably the only, like, because when these guys get caught, it's like they're dead to rights, like to the point where it's like you, even if you wanted to let them off on a technicality or probation or whatnot,
Hmm.
they couldn't. So um, I guess kudos. My next questions would be, where are you serving the prison? Where, like, is this like a legit going to prison, or will you have a nice little? I mean, will you have a cell, or will you have a whole hotel suite for your entire stint?
But you know that the guy is going to have a hotel suite.
Okay.
I mean, we have to question that. Is he even going to go to a regular prison? You know, you've got to ask that question. But regardless, like I think, look, it's obviously it's more about the embarrassment than anything else. I don't think that it's something that people are doing whereby he's going to actually suffer the way a regular prisoner would suffer. My belief is that they've done it to cover their tracks. I think that they've done it so that they can put a pin in this situation. The man has been caught. He's going to prison. It's over now. Let's move forward, because they found him innocent of every charge except conspiracy. And in that conspiracy, they were acknowledging that the money never got to him, but he was conspiring to get the money. Really? The money never got to him. When I even saw Sarkozy's face coming out of the court, he looked like a man that said, we just pulled the fast one in there. Because he's a man who's supposed to be going to prison. And the way he looked, I was like, this guy looks like a guy who knows he pulled a fast one. And he has to act like he cares. Oh, I'm going to have my head held high. That's what he was saying. Head held high. Yes, your head is very high because you've got millions in your account from Gaddafi, and he's dead. So of course your head is going to be high, and you're getting 5 years for that in a cushy prison. He doesn't care. I mean, that is the only logical explanation for this, because the way I look at it is, why even send him to prison at this stage, 14 years later, when nobody is talking about it? Nobody's talking about it. So the only reason you're going to do that is that, listen, there are things in this case that if this keeps getting pushed, we do not want to come out.
Yep.
We need to end this thing, especially in this moment where everybody is distracted by so many other things. We file this away so that if anybody comes back to this story, we say, yes, we investigated and we found him guilty, because it's a big deal to send a former president to prison. So when you do that, there are a lot of people that are satisfied. There are a lot of people that are satisfied, as opposed to, you're not really looking at it from the African perspective of, yeah, forget about that, but what were they really doing over there? What were they really doing over there? That should have been, that should have been an ICC case, exactly. How is Sarkozy not an ICC case? French courts are how does a guy do something like that and he gets to be tried by his own country's court? What does it take to get tried by the ICC as a French or Western president? You have to actually kill somebody and hold their head on camera and say, look, like I got him. And even then, you probably won't get indicted by the ICC. Because in today's world, they say, no, it's AI. I'm serious. Because that's the latest. Oh, listen, there are politicians now that are so excited. They're like, you can't catch me now. Hey, we saw you with that woman in the AI. We saw you drinking and you were running through the streets with a machete. It was AI. How come we saw you there with 20 million in cash from the people's tax money? It was AI. And listen, man, the way AI is now, VO3, man, that stuff is so realistic. Sora 2, like, what are you going to do? Listen, it's AI. That is the standard excuse. In fact, I'm going to start using that excuse.
I was just about to say.
You're not going to be able to catch me on anything. I just feel like it's AI.
Man.
100%. Because, listen, man, Sarkozy, you really got away with something here. You really, really got away with something there, man. I mean, for him to pull this off, we saw the emails. So when you read the emails, I'm like, the evidence is right there what he was doing. So what exactly is this court case in aid of? It's like he's saying it in the emails of exactly what he's looking for and what's going on. Yes, of course, you don't literally have video footage of him doing things, but that in and of itself is... So basically, my point is that for you to find him guilty of this conspiracy, but then to be innocent of all those other things, is really weird, because you're like, oh, so the guy was really, as a president, was sitting around thinking about how to take money from an African alleged dictator to finance his political campaign. And then he thought afterwards that, you know what, man, that idea was a bit, that was a crazy idea. I was just checking with, I was just asking people to see if it was possible. That's all I was doing. I was making calls just to check if I could get that money from Gaddafi. Really? That's basically what they want you to believe. That he went to all those lengths, but the money didn't get to him. In the meantime, Barack is just chilling. Chilling. Like, yeah, he's not had to answer any questions about what happened over there. Nothing. David Cameron? No, he doesn't have to answer any questions. Nothing. You see, this is why guys had to leave that ICC. When you look at, and I like these two stories being back to back. Sarkozy, what he just pulled off is the reason why nobody wants to be involved. That's the reason why nobody wants to be involved, because they're like, there is no African that can do something like this. You're never going to be able to pull that off. With that much evidence against you, you still actually get 5 years prison. And I want to even see where he's... I would love to see the cell. And I'm not... it's not a joke. I'm like saying, I would like to see Sarkozy's cell.
Whatever pictures they show you, I don't trust that either. So
no, with him. No, actually, I want to see the picture with him in it.
Well, yeah. They can,
you know what? No, video. Yeah. I want video live footage. I want live footage of Sarkozy in his cell.
Would that be his actual cell, though?
Okay, this is what we're going to do. We request that we want a live stream, 24-hour live stream.
Then it's AI.
Of the French people. The French people can tune in at any time to see Sarkozy in prison. That is punishment. Where at any point there's sarkozyprison.com. Okay? Something like that, or sarkozycell.com. Where at any point, you see people in a cafe, you say, what are you watching, Sarkozy? Because it's freely available footage. So you just, in France, people are like bored. They're like, let's see what Sarkozy is doing. Like Big Brother. That's what it should be, because then we'll know that you're serving your sentence properly. Because otherwise, we know what's going to happen. This guy's going to be having caviar and filet mignon. We know it.
Yep.
So that's what I think needs to happen, is that there needs to be some general public oversight on what is going on with Sarkozy. Otherwise, it's all a joke. Because I saw that and I was like, come on, guys. Come on, guys. What are we talking about here? Are we being serious? Are we being serious? Now, on that note, it's Nigeria's Independence Month. 1st of October, 1960 was when we allegedly got independence. And I still call it an allegation because I don't believe it happened. But that is what they say. Okay? I've been reflecting on it. We had the Independence Day conversation already, which was a fantastic live show. And I've been reflecting on the future of the country. Nigeria, whenever I talk about Nigeria, it's explosive. Whenever I make a video about that country, it's explosive. There's a reason for that. Nigeria is a special place. Special place. That's the reason why whenever I make a video about that country, it's explosive. If I wanted to, I could have a channel that is just called Nigeria, and I'd have like 2 million subs. Well, the algorithm won't allow that. But the point is, I could make a channel that is just called Nigeria. And the fan base would be incredible. I mean, I wouldn't do that because I'm interested in all of Africa. But it's because of the insane history of that country and all the things that have happened. Because the more that I've read about, because you know that I'm doing True History of Africa, Nigeria edition is my next thing. It is fascinating, man. This is actually probably one of the most exciting projects I've ever done in my life. The more I read about it, I'm like, I need multiple volumes. I need multiple volumes. This cannot be done in one volume. I'm going to do my best to do this first edition, but I think there's a need for extras at some point down the line because the history is crazy.
Where are you pulling the history from?
All over the place, man. Yeah. All over the place. Because listen, that's the beauty of AI, is that it is like your assistant who can do so much information pulling for you. Obviously, the difficulty, which is why it's good that I still, my relatives and people there's a lot of people I can talk to and say, okay, look, this is what I've got here. What am I missing? Do I need to put? That's the positive side, because I'm actually able to cross-reference with a lot of people as to the veracity of certain stories, what stories I might be missing. And so I'm still not going to be able to cover everything, I'm still not going to be able to cover everything, but I can try to cover as much as I can. I'm actually, speaking of which, you got your copy already of The Crusaders?
I ordered it last night.
Okay. The Crusaders episode 2 is live and direct. And in that commemoration, we're going to let me give you guys a peek at the trailer again. And then we'll be right back after this quick commercial break. African history was stolen. Over 4,000 African artifacts, ripped from ancient kingdoms across the continent, now sit in museums across Europe and America. Pay attention. In 1897, the British invaded and burned the Benin Kingdom to the ground. They exiled Oba Ovonramwen, who fought back against British colonization. And then, as payment for the invasion, the empire looted thousands of treasures, but they didn't get them all. The Oba took with him into exile the most powerful of those artifacts, the Sunblade, hoping one day descendants of Africa would bring it home. That's the premise for The Crusaders, a 6-part graphic novel series inspired by the colonial invasion, a fate shared by so many African peoples under colonialism and slavery. The Crusaders are a family of sibling heroes, a sophisticated heist crew reclaiming Africa's stolen treasures from around the world. Episode 1 broke into Amazon's top 30, and now Episode 2 is finally here. Buy your copy right now directly through the link in my profile bio. All right. Yeah, guys, it's out now. It should be linked to the video. You can go to www.thecrusadersunite.com. If you're on YouTube, it's linked to the video, as I said. Very, very easy for you to grab yourselves a copy of it now. Exciting, guys. Look, that was many, many, many years in the making. Many, many years in the making. I'm glad that it's actually finally coming out now. And the universe, is doing what it's got to do. What are your thoughts, Chosen, about this?
Well, first, congrats.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Second, I know it feels good to get that out because in terms of stories, as a creator, I know it can be somewhat constricting when that's just trapped up here and you want people to see it. You want people to know the information. So you got 2 out. You got 4 more volumes coming, right? So I know it feels good. I know that feels good, man. So
Yeah, no, it definitely does. And I think, look, for me, this is only the tip of the iceberg in terms of, the amount of things that I would love to put out there. I mean, there is obviously a bottleneck of stuff, which makes things a little bit challenging, which is not, it's obviously not ideal. But I would say this, that once you're in a position that you're in control of your own destiny. So let me give you an example. So I was on Facebook and there was a guy who commented on a video that I made where I talked about being independent and doing my own thing and, releasing the Crusaders independently and from top to bottom, financing and everything. And it was just some white guy who wanted to be snarky and was like, how's that working out for you? Okay. And I wrote back to him. And I said, listen, man, it's been unbelievably, it's been fantastic. It's just such a great experience. It's multiplied my income. My revenue has gone up. Life is better. And I just feel so angry that I didn't do this sooner. But thank you very much for your your concern in checking on how it's going. And, it's just really, really great. And I can't, I really wish that more people would try something like this because I'm rich now, And then he didn't reply. Why do you think he didn't reply? Because you seemed concerned about, whether it was working out for me or not.
Well, if that was a real person, I don't think.
Well, I checked his profile. He had his full family on his profile.
Okay.
Baby, everything.
In terms of why he didn't reply, I mean, you know the reason.
In these guys' brains, the concept of what I said should not turn out well.
Mm-hmm.
So in his head, the idea of like some African saying he's going to go out and do his own thing and he's not going to use Amazon and he's going to distribute something, that is not supposed to go well.
Yep.
So him saying that, his natural reaction, expectation is that I'll either be angry or not reply or so. So in his head, it's like, wait a minute, you're actually making money? You see, that exchange I had with the guy is the reason why I try to impress on Africans and diasporans and black folks, is that you owe it to yourselves to support each other.
Yep.
These people truly believe you cannot function without them.
Yep.
They genuinely believe that. The same people who are telling you, get out of my country, we don't want you here, at the same time, don't believe you can survive without them.
Yep.
And in the meantime, instead of, honestly, if you did not need any more motivation to actually go out there and try and do your thing independently, I do not know what else. Because maybe I'm weird. Is that weird to be thinking the way I'm thinking?
I don't think it's weird. It's just rare. That's how I would put it, In terms of motivation, man, I'm motivated every time I clock in, dude. So it's just, you quickly realize, like, this world is not, it's not for you. You know what I mean? So you gotta create your own world, man, because, I mean, they'll tell you 50 ways from Sunday that they do not want you here. They do not want to see you, without saying those words, they tell you. So,
yeah, I mean, look, that's definitely true. It's definitely true. But as I said, the benefits of getting a project like this out and in this way, and like I said, that exchange was just some guy being stupid and silly, but underneath it, yes, there is that great feeling that, man, to be able to do these things, you're not supposed to be able to do it. You're just not. So the fact that I did something where every level wasn't, like, the money came from the community, the distribution, the production, the thing. Now the marketing and promotion, it's weird because I don't know what it's going to take, but I believe one day we will reach the tipping point where the community as a whole understands the importance of supporting these kinds of things and moving together as a unit. We're not there yet. We're far away from it. I don't believe that we're even close, because there is still too much energy trying to be involved.
when we get there.
How do you mean?
No, like you said, we're not there yet, right? So
No, yes, I said that because there's still too much energy being put towards wanting to be involved. When all your energy is being directed towards inclusion and DEI and all, you haven't got any, you have no time to do this other stuff because everything that you're doing is to try and be involved in this thing. Let me tell you something. Chosen, did I tell you this or was it an Ethiopian I was talking to? I cannot remember. I said a statement that, do you know that the Black community are the only community in history, I think that's in history, I was going to say in the world today, in history, that is fighting a war, that is fighting conflicts to be part of somebody else's community. You know that every other revolution in human history and war has been fought to be free and separate from somebody else's community, to go and build their own. You know how all the wars that you see in Eastern Europe, Asia, is to build their own country. It's like, we want our country. The Black community, it is the first war I've ever seen where the fight is, let us, can you just give us a opportunity? I just want to be part of it. Represent us. Can we have some representation? Give us a chance. All we need is a chance. Wow. Now, I'm just saying, listen, I'm using this as an analogy for the entire community because you know damn sure that in Africa, that's how the guys are thinking.
Here too?
What?
Here too?
No. My point is that obviously in America, but I'm saying that I'm not excluding Africa from the pie because for some reason it's like, why are we in the UN? Why are we in the Commonwealth? Why are we in the ICC? Why are we in the ICJ? Why are we in the World Bank? Why are we with the IMF? Why are we constantly involved in all of these things that have nothing to do with us or our prosperity? It's weird. But the peculiarity, I think, about America is that there is literally a fight to be part of it.
Yeah.
Like, it's actually a fight. Like, guys are dying. Do you know what it means to spill blood and die to be part of something else? Like, that is wild to me. There is not a single human being that should risk their life and lose their life to be part of that society. Like, there's no reason for it. Like, what? Do you know how, like, for me, it's very, very strange because, again, look, I know that we're going at I didn't want to get into too much depth on that, but listen, it's worth talking about because, you know, some people tell me that, hey, Mech, man, don't even give your opinions because you need to be neutral. Because you can't be authoring books and doing things and be talking this flagrantly. You can't do that. Because when young kids are reading the book, they say, who wrote this? And then they play your video, and then it's like...
They're scared.
People be like, Mommy, what's he talking about? Like, who's Gaddafi? So, guys were telling me that, man, come on, man. You know, you got to separate these two things. But I'm sorry, but I mean, wait, do you agree with that advice?
On certain things, not most things, though. Most things, you know, it's all one big package, one nice rabbit hole to go down. You know what I mean? But some of the more extreme stuff that people don't, and I use that word sparingly, but, you know, I just think that those are for the long time subscribers or followers, you know.
What is for the long time subscribers?
You're more, you know, hardcore.
Oh, right.
Views on things, you know, and especially in terms of what we need to do and, you know.
Yeah, no, that's part of, I agree with you, which is why part of me feels like my lives probably need to be members only lives. You know what I'm saying? Like, just across the board, that my lives just have to be because I think I agree with you. I think in order to do some of the stuff I want to do, like, I think that my live shows need to be like, okay, look, for the hardcore guys who are really supporting and are open to hearing these thoughts, you can come and we do the live shows. For everybody else, you get the sanitized, you know, You get the sanitized version.
And
Let
that's
me ask the community who's listening. Guys, do you agree with that? Community, what do you think? Do you agree with that policy? What's up with my Substack? Substack, what's going on with you guys? I don't see any are you guys there? Like, you know, what's going on my Substack? But guys, what do you guys think? Can you leave it in the chat? Do you agree with that policy or not? Can you leave it in the chat? Do you agree with that policy or not? All leaders in Africa and world are controlled. And yeah, but I mean, look, I think as well that, you know, how do I put it? We have to think about the long-term goals that we have in terms of what you're really trying to do and making decisions that align with those things. And I think that's why it's worth thinking about, because obviously when you start and you're doing, you want to be able to just relax. And, you know, they actually tell, like you said, people do appreciate when you're open and you're talking freely and you're able to. But at the end of the day, I think even when I look at my videos and the videos that really, really do well in certain circles, like some videos that do well in some demographics don't do well in the other demographics. So when I do my free talking things, of course it resonates with Africans and Black Americans who are really interested in the nitty-gritty of the topics. But in a more general sense, you know, the people who are just here for the history, they don't really care about that. You know, they just care about, I just want stories. Now, the question is that I could start a different channel, but is that worth doing? I don't know. I don't know. That being said, guys, there is one more topic. Joseph Kabila, the ex-president of Congo, has been sentenced to death. Okay, in absentia, because he's not actually in the country. He's like he's out of the country. So now, if I was Joseph, I wouldn't go back to Congo, you know, personally, because they want him dead. So, you know, that's what I would tell him. But that is the situation. And I saw his picture and I was like, the guy looked relatively friendly. So I was wondering, what the hell did you do? And then I looked into it and I was like, damn. The guy's accused of some pretty crazy things. Like basically, there's a terrorist group called the M23, militant group. Let me not say terrorist group because it depends on what side of the fence you're on, who are affiliated with Rwanda, and Paul Kagame, the Rwanda president, has been accused of being connected to them or supports them, whatever. He's denied that, but you know, there was an interview that I saw with a guy called Larry Madowo on CNN where he asked the President Kagame that, do you know if your soldiers are in Congo, you know, across the border? And Kagame said he doesn't know. And then the journalist was like, but you're the president. How do you say you don't know where your army is? And he said, I don't know. You know, people, there's a lot of things that people don't know. Even me, I was like, Paul, come on, man. Come on, man. Like when he said that, I was like, come on. Like when you give a response like that, then everything you say after that response is just,
yes,
like, you know, then we might as well just end the interview. Like, okay, clearly this is a joke.
Yep.
You're not taking this seriously. Let's just end the interview here. And Larry Madowo correctly said, but you're the president. How can a president say he doesn't know whether his army is in the neighboring country or not? So for me, listen, but anyway, that's what the Joseph Kabila was accused of, being involved with the M23 rebels who are operating in Congo and so forth. Crimes against humanity. But again, you know, you look at things like that and you're like, is that a distraction? You know, why is that happening now when Rwanda and Congo are doing a deal with America for mining?
What
It's
does
also in,
involved mean? What is
say what?
involved? What does involved mean? Yeah. I get wary when that kind of language is used because it's very vague. You know what I mean?
Well,
Um,
his father was assassinated, as well. So I actually did an article on it. I got confused between him and his father because when I saw Kabila, I was like, I'm sure Kabila is dead. Like he's not alive anymore. Like, people were like, no, 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 this is son. I was like, oh, yeah. So his father had a very interesting, and they look very similar too. But he had a very interesting demise, life and demise. And look, man, look at the end of the day, I feel we don't have any agency as a continent. So it's going to be difficult for us to really execute anything efficiently. Because if you're giving a death sentence to an ex-president, I don't know what that does to solve Congo's problems today, like right now. So when I was even looking into it, I was like, okay, what about the issues you have right now? Are you saying that the actions that this guy is taking are destabilizing the country today? Maybe that's the reason. But I think that there are so many more pressing scenarios. Namely, I said this when that story came out, I said that it's weird that America would do a peace deal and say they're doing a peace deal between Rwanda and Congo, but the peace deal entails Rwanda and Congo doing a mining contract with them. Why does peace cost mining minerals? Isn't peace supposed to be free? And are you now proving that the reason for the conflict is you and money? Because if you can do a deal with both countries to stop the conflict, you're basically saying this is the reason for the conflict. The conflict stopped in 24 hours. 24 hours. Like, people have been fighting. Donity was like, okay, look, and the conflict stopped. So who's causing the conflict?
and not just that conflict.
Listen, all across that continent, it is astonishing. And I think what's really good now is that because of media, social media specifically, social media has really changed things. Social media has really, really changed things. It's put a lot of stuff in focus. Like, there's so many things now that we look at and we're like, I would have never known this in the world before this. So much information that we now have. I think that, my goodness, imagine what these people were getting away with before.
Imagine what they would be getting away with had we not had social media today.
But this is what I'm saying. Because we have social media, I believe that they're pulling their punches more.
Mm-hmm.
So I think back and I'm like, can you imagine what these guys were doing when the concept of social media didn't even exist? They didn't even think of any such thing.
Yep.
And they controlled the press and the media completely. Do you know the kind of stuff those guys were doing? So now that we're in this position, I'm thinking, my goodness, they're still trying to pull okie dokes when there are a billion eyes on them. So imagine what was happening before. That's sort of where I'm coming from with it, because I don't know, man. I don't know. But anyway, those are the stories for the day, for the week. Do you have any other caveats, thoughts?
No. We'll see what happens in the next 5 years. I think we're going to see some major things happening.
Robert says, put on websites with embedded video for a price. Robert, I think I know what I want to do is that I have a concept, and I would do it for my Substack paid tier, where my lives will be on Substack for the paid subscribers, for when I want to have these sorts of conversations. Because I do agree with Chosen. You're right. Like, I think these sort of convos, this is not public conversations. Nah, for my channel. For other people's channels, the guys can do whatever they want to do. I think that for my channel, my lives need to be behind closed doors. Is that wrong? Do you think I'm wrong to say that? Or should I keep? I mean, what do you think? Because I think I'll be able to be a bit more free. Because I've just noticed, so basically on TikTok, for example, they've started banning all of my videos. They've started banning all my videos. Like, I'm looking at it, I'm like, why are they doing that? Like, all my videos are just being banned. Historical content, all this stuff. And I'm like, why? So for me, I'm like, listen, if you guys are going to do that there, I can barely reach audiences in other areas. Whenever I talk about these issues, it might be better for me to stick to my history stuff that is safe for the public. And then if we want to have these kinds of talks, I put that behind closed doors.
Is that easy for you to incorporate? It's not
that hard for me to incorporate. And I think it might delineate my audiences better, whereby they say, listen, if you're a subscriber and you want to have these conversations with me, this is where you need to go. And then what I can do is that I take clips from the live and put those publicly. You see what I'm saying? Where I can take a clip that I'm like, okay, this is a safe clip, and then I can put that public. Why are you laughing? I'm being serious.
Safe clip. Yeah, no.
Yeah, it's a safe clip, because otherwise, the way that we're doing it, these guys are harassing me too much, man. And it's affecting the algorithm and everything. I'm like, you know what? It's better that I put this behind closed doors. Nobody can see it. You take the clips that are safe, you put those public. And anybody who wants to watch the full thing can go into the members thing. Because otherwise, it's a mess. Because I was looking at my analytics, and every time I put a video like this out, it always affects it. Every single time I get a dip. When you put it in the members section, it doesn't affect anything because it's only members who can access it. And I think it's good because for the membership, they've made a decision that they want to hear those kinds of conversations. So it's more straightforward. And then maybe, what I can do is be very focused about the open live. So even if I do an open live, maybe doing the open lives on just generic topics. We talk about a historical topic, or we talk about some kind of, I don't know, talk about the weather, I guess, Listen, what else can I tell you? Because I actually now am beginning to feel the heat. I'm beginning to feel the heat. The channel is getting a little bit too unwieldy. It's getting unwieldy now. It's getting unwieldy because I'm like, wow, maybe I have to stop doing this, stop doing TikTok, stop doing this in order to focus on. So all these stories came out, and I covered a lot of these stories on Instagram in very short clips. But then I realized that, look, I need to talk about this Sarkozy thing. I need to talk about this ICC thing. I need to talk about the Kabila thing. I need to talk about these things and give context to them and so on. In order to do that, I need more time. So then I come here and I do this. But the problem is I come here and I have these conversations, and then it starts affecting the other content. So then it's figuring out what's the smartest move. So even today, coming on the live to talk about this today on this show, I was thinking that, I could spend time doing a more benign video and putting that out, because those things, obviously, they get a lot of traction, a lot of feedback. But I felt this was an important conversation to have. I thought it was an important conversation to have. But yeah, man. Anyway, that is where we're at, everybody. That is where we're at. It's a crazy world out there. Good luck to the Sahel Alliance. Good luck to them. I hope they continue to, they got to cover their backs. They've got to now be aware that there is fire on the mountain, Nigeria is next in the crosshairs. I'm sure you've heard about which I won't talk about in this show. I'll talk about it next week, about the Christian massacres and killings in Nigeria, and how all of a sudden all the news networks are now suddenly very interested in that. Everybody's interested in that now all of a sudden. I wonder why. Like, now it's, that is the primary topic now. Why are you focused on Israel and whatever? When Christians are thousands and tens of thousands. The question that I don't want to get into it here, but the question you start asking yourself is that, who are these people really? Who set this up? And are we now seeing the fruits of the okie doke? Because all of a sudden now you can validate doing certain things where the people of Nigeria will actually be begging you to do it. That's the position you want to get yourselves into. Because I have no idea how we got ourselves into that position. Gaza trumping Nigerian, what? I don't understand what that means. They want to discourage you. Yeah, I mean, look, I think that the discouraging of creators is very easy to do. I mean, I think when you're trying to make money and everything, it's very easy to, I think especially for African creators, it's very easy to do because, African creators do not have the benefit of the safety net of the community to help them. And I think that's the reason why so many people in the Black and African content creator space have to sell out, otherwise they're not going to survive because there's only so many, you just don't have that kind of support. So I think the intimidation is very easy to do. It's like, if you're putting out videos and you're not able to monetize them, you're not getting any reach, what alternative do you have? I don't think you really have an alternative. Anyway, guys, let me get out of here. As I said, attached to the video is the Crusaders episode 1 and 2. Grab yourselves a copy, share it with your friends and family. We'll be back again same time next week to have these conversations. But as I said, I'm considering maybe moving my live into a more exclusive space so that we can maintain the integrity of the network and we don't get into more trouble. I'll think about it. I'm going to do some investigations to see what topics really are causing the problems I've been having, and then take it from there. All right.